Welcome to the Football Biz Formula, presented by SFS in partnership with BuzzMyVideos, the podcast where innovation drives the future of football and sports industry, hosted by Paola Marinone. Let's kick off.
Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to a new episode of the Football Biz Formula podcast. And today we have a special guest, Wiltshire, Senior Vice President and MD of Digital at IMG. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Good to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Nice to see you again here, Lewis. And you're very much a real expert on anything sports, digital, platform. You've been there for a while. And I think it's very interesting to have you here as a guest, because I'm really interested to see your view, because you have a really, really deep knowledge of whatever was in the past in terms of business, technology, business models, but as well, like, you have a very unique view on the future. And I think it's going to be interesting as well, like what's going to happen in football or in the sport industry in general. So I think that your point of view is really adding a lot of value. So thank you for being here.
Well, thank you. Very kind. Appreciate the kind words. So when you say I've been around for a while, that's a very kind way of saying that I've I have been around for a while. But it's my career, 30 years this year, celebrating 30 years in the sports industry.
Wow, 30. Okay, I knew it was a while, but not so much.
I know, because I look so young, right? So
exactly. No, you started very young.
Yeah, no, I actually did start very young. My first role in 1995, I was not even quite 19. So most of my 30 years have been in the intersection of sports and technology. Been around sports digital for a long time, as you say.
Yeah. So tell us a bit more about your story from that 1995.
Well, I began in newspapers, actually. I mean, my dream when I was growing up was, first of all, to be a footballer, like a lot of kids grow up wanting to be a footballer. And then when I realized I wasn't going to be a professional footballer, wanted to be a sports writer was my original dream. And I went into newspapers. But it was very clear from quite early in my career that the internet was going to be the future of everything. And in 2001, when I was 6 years into my career, I made the move to the BBC to work for the BBC Sport website. The then very new BBC Sport website, it had only launched the year before in 2000. I joined in 2001 and spent 11 years with the BBC. Eventually became editor of the BBC Sport website, eventually became BBC's first social media editor ever, and was in the process of overseeing BBC Sports digital preparations for the London 2012 Olympics when I got the opportunity to move to Twitter. So I became Twitter's first sports hire outside the US, Twitter's first UK head of sport, eventually led global sports for Twitter and a bunch of other stuff as director and then senior director of media partnerships for Twitter in various markets. After Twitter, I moved to a digital agency known as 7 League in 2017, which in 2021 became part of IMG, and I've been part of IMG ever since. So since 2021. So throughout that journey, I think the thing that's remained constant in my career is being curious about technology, and specifically the way that the sports industry interacts with technology in order to meet audiences. So whether that was at the BBC, doing that on behalf of a globally iconic broadcaster, using all of the platforms available to me at that time to represent BBC Sports brand and meet audiences where they are, to Twitter, where I was obviously using just one platform at Twitter to look after all of sports. So working with leagues, teams, governing bodies, athletes, and then to 7 League, where I was able to use all of the platforms for all of the sports. And now obviously at IMG, feel very blessed and privileged to be leading the digital division of, I would say, the world's most iconic sports marketing agency. And I'm very, very proud and privileged to be leading the digital representation of how IMG services sports rights holders all over the world.
That's quite a journey. Congratulations on it. And especially, I think what is interesting is that you're very much always there on the very early days. You're very much of a trend spotter in a way, which is not that easy because now everything seems like obvious.
Right.
I remember, for example, when I joined Google in 2006, and everybody was looking at me like, "Why do you join Google? Like, it's."
Yeah.
I mean, you're not an engineer, so what's the point there? And so like at university, everybody was like studying to do like, I don't know, auditing or finance or whatever. And I was like, come on, guys, it's fun and it's gonna be changing something and trying hard like to be part of it. And so spotting it very early is not that obvious to most, to be honest.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. I mean, I had a very similar experience when I moved into tech platform, which in my case was Twitter. And
exactly, with Twitter, like first hire is like definitely not obvious at all.
Yeah, no, I remember sitting at a football game with a friend. I was just there as a fan, and with a friend of mine. And I said, during the game, I remember saying to my friend, "Oh, so I've got some news. I'm leaving the BBC." And my friend said, "Oh, where are you going?" And I said, "To Twitter." And my friend said, "Twitter," like, and repeated it so loudly, like he was surprised that I would swap, the venerable institution of the BBC for this, what was still in 2011, 2012, a sort of a fairly sort of nascent upstart platform in Twitter. And he said it so loudly, I always remember the people in the row in front of us turned around to see what we were talking about. He said, Twitter, really loudly. But it was a brilliant move for me. I mean, I was kind of in love with that platform at that time, felt like it was changing the world. I mean, it objectively was and did change the world in many ways, as did Facebook and Instagram and for sure YouTube and many others. So I think I've always had a love of tech platforms that feel like they might change the world. But you're also right, Paola, that there have been many platforms that have come along, or products in technology that have come along, and people have felt like they might change the world, and those ones did not, in fact, change the world. So yeah, you can't. I think when you build a career, you can't just recklessly swap one thing for the other. But it's also good to take risks.
Yeah, definitely. And also, like, it's nice to see when something starts and it's evolving like very quickly, and it's like you really shape it, and then it's really like from a career perspective and a learning perspective, because ultimately it's all about learning. It's really like the best MBA you can ever get, literally.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a brilliant way to put it. And I think that was very much my experience at the BBC. I feel like having the BBC on my CV has always stood me in good stead in my career. It has such a fantastic reputation. And then to go from the BBC to Twitter, which was my first experience working for a sort of US headquartered company, first experience working for a tech platform, and I was just around some like incredibly smart people. But that has continued through my career. So then going to 7 League, which was a small independent digital agency when I moved there, and I was one of kind of 20 or so people at that time in a room in North London, and I was just blown away by how smart these guys were, and felt like I was learning every day. And then to go from that environment into IMG in 2021 and feel like I had an opportunity to be part of arguably one of the organizations that created sports marketing in the first place, I think was just a very special opportunity for me. And also at IMG, I'm able to learn every day from people that are not just in the digital area, but people that work in rights, in production, in commercial partnerships, or in any number of ways that IMG services the sports industry. And I think for me, and especially my team, a real privilege to be able to lead the digital element of that, but also to learn from colleagues every single day.
Yeah, let's talk about this, because I think that now basically you not only spot the trends very early, which is definitely part of your DNA, but you also see where the value creation is in the future. I really recognize that, and it's very clear from what you're saying about your history, because it's really about understanding where the opportunity is and where to build value and how. So now talking about your experience now, that is like you've always been in sport in one way or another, but now when you see at IMG, like how do you see the value creation right now, and especially for tomorrow, not just for today, where you see the opportunities for growth in terms of value creation?
So you can't talk about the value for the sports industry and technology today, and especially tomorrow, without referencing AI. Not sure when we started recording this podcast, maybe 10 minutes. I'm seeing the clock in the top left corner, which I don't know if we would have expected first mention of AI to come up in 10 minutes or less or more. But if anyone was placing bets on when we would first talk about AI, we hit 10 minutes and here we go, now talking about AI. It obviously is the most exciting, revolutionary area of technology that will transform not just the sports industry and the way that the sports industry reaches audiences, but will transform everything around us. I mean, I've been saying that I think AI will be as big as digital again, in the same way that if you go into any sports organization, yes, there's a digital team there, but everybody who works for that organization, whether they're in the digital team or not, has had their daily lives and careers and jobs and daily routines changed, revolutionized, shaped by digital. Every single person in that building uses an app to get to work, probably, or to order their lunch, or, you know, obviously they're sitting there with a laptop, with a phone, with a tablet. They're accessing information via digital and sorting information via digital. The finance team are working in spreadsheets, like everything is digital. So my point has been with AI that AI will replicate that and will be as big as digital was as a transforming revolution. I think it will be as big again as that, which means that we will all use AI to organize our daily lives, to get to where we want to get to book travel, to organize our to-do list, to start making our way through our daily activities, and in our personal lives as well. That'll happen. So we'll be talking to AI agents and chat bots that will really closely understand us and understand our lives and our preferences, that I think will then book sort of, kind of routine tasks through the day for us, because they'll understand sort of what we want. They'll have our credit cards. Maybe they'll just kind of go ahead and book that train journey for me to get to work. They'll organize my to-do list for the day. They'll probably automate some of those tasks for me, and so on. And I think for the sports industry, it's how do we, as a global sector, respond to that? Because I don't see AI changing what happens on the field of play anytime soon. I think there are technological advances to the field of play, clearly, around whether that's VAR or other areas of technology to do with health and fitness, that tracking of athletes, etc. So there definitely are technological changes on the field of play, but not really to do with AI yet. But what AI will do is change the way that sports fans globally access information, and the automation of tasks, like, for example, to what extent will AI influence ticket buying and that chain, or the acquisition of merchandise by a fan, or the way that a fan checks the schedules of their favorite sports team, and then thinks about maybe booking a trip to go and see that team play live at the stadium. Clearly, I think there will also be changes in the way that we consume sports globally as fans. So I think what we were very keen to talk about 2 or 3 years ago, which was the metaverse and VR, I think certainly hasn't gone away just because we've all become obsessed by AI. There are still really interesting areas of technology around VR, and the extent to which that will change the way that global fans are able to experience a version of going to the game at the stadium, I think is really interesting. So I'd say AI, VR, and then the other one I would mention is AR, which I think will really impact fans in the stadium, but also fans watching on TV, and that the use of data overlays to augment the experience I'm having in the stadium, or even if I'm watching on the screen, I think will really change sports. So there's some really exciting changes coming, and I think with the moment that we stand at right now. If I think about my career, my 30-year